On a mission, sprinting forward. It is sunny where I am, although in the external world here in Berlin, it is a little bit cloudy, but where I am, I'm sprinting across the sea like the Flash. It is sunny, a golden sun. Orange, beautiful waves, almost geometric. As I scan the horizons here, welcome back, Artist Journal, February 26, 2025. Staring off into Zwozo's beautiful work as it heads into that pink sky. So, Kindred Souls here, thank you for the massive response. On the 400th episode, I thought, okay, maybe there will be something, but that was actually, that far exceeded my expectations. And a small, moral of the story is, it's really wonderful to be appreciated. In a sense. And I was going to say, so if there's an artist out there that you feel is not getting the love, but you love the work, leave a comment. But you know what? It goes beyond art. Like, I'll never forget when I was working in graphic design in Montreal, my first kind of real job, you could say. I worked in a comic store before. That was quite great. But, first, like, okay, you went to school, you trained for something, and now... because I did a little graphic design thing after I did the English, master's in English and visual arts degree, etc. I did a little, so I trained for it so I could actually get a job as a humanities person. And I didn't feel appreciated. Like, I felt like my voice didn't matter there. And that's when I realized, people just want to be appreciated. And so it's even beyond art. It's really, it's kind of like, they talk about black magic. It's like white magic. It's just like a way of, positive magic, positive vibes. So you can change someone's day, perhaps, as Chimox Moscow Jackson and Mikkel Nolson did when I posted this show to Spotify. Originally, before it was video, and said maybe this should be video, and hoping nobody would actually listen because I was kind of self-conscious about what I was doing, but figuring, what am I going to do? As I often have done with this show, hit send or publish and run and head for cover, at the potential humiliation one can potentially endure as putting your voice out there. The shocking thing is, from the artistic side or the creator's side, is how often people will actually like what you're doing, even if you'll be your own biggest critic. So you cannot release work, you cannot release or hold off on broadcasting or whatever your project is, making a podcast, but you might as well just put it out there. And it's all about the reps, and you might be surprised that you're your own greatest critic. So it seems sometimes over here. So let's begin. There's a lot to get through today. Fascinating stuff to get through today. Wait till you see the Weiwei show. Vito Schnabel. A little foreshadowing. But let's begin with Zwozo. With the innovation continues, and I want to say the poetry of Zwozo, which ultimately won the day here for me. As I kind of hum and haw over what to begin the newspaper of the imagination with. Get some audio for you. The wonderful poetry of Zwozo, a true poet, out of Buenos Aires, I believe, at least Argentina. A true poet. We've seen it, and let's just check the title. For example, Left Behind. Right? It was not like Airport or Baggage Carousel or whatever. Left Behind. A true poet, Zwozo. Going to Absurd Deity for 180. Actually, Tezos. I guess Tezos is going down, so $146. One of the things we struggle with as artists on the blockchain is the ever-shifting price of the cryptos versus, I guess, the US dollar. I was going to say fiat, but really the US dollar. A couple of things just technically I want to point out here, because it does seem like we're seeing a little bit of an innovation on a few fronts, as a matter of fact, from Zwozo. I want to point out the frame. The frame seems a little different. The fact that there is a frame actually seems different, and it seems quite cool the way it's done. And also the actual baggage carousel. It's kind of like this noisy, it feels a little different, right? And you almost see here, I don't know if you can see my cursor there, there's almost like a mask that's being employed. So things are moving through, and then right over here, the mask stops, and then it goes to the mask that's underneath, let's say. You also see it here. And also, I mean, just look at this patterning on the bottom, this square, almost random. It looks like random layers, right? Which to me, as someone that works with digital, and so you often work in layers, usually, it's almost like these unfinished layers that so often look so beautiful. The non-finito, as we like to say. Finally, let's just look at the, it's easy to, forget the decisions that are made here, the poetic decisions that look obvious now, this pink sky. But really, I think if 90% of us would probably have made that sky blue, some variation of blue. Instead, we have this beautiful pink sky with this plane moving and these massive clouds. Another decision, this massive clouds, we'd all be putting little clouds in, right? Or at least that would be the rational thing to do. Again, a true poet. And then you see, up here on the right, this massive column looks like it's straight out of a De Chirico or a Leger, or who's that other guy that kind of worked like De Chirico? Morandi, I want to say. Anyways, fabulous work here. Ebzer Deity picked it up, 180 Tezos. And here, I wanted to add the comment, and of course I follow Ebzer Deity. That is a glitch on X when you open a billion tabs. I have just collected Left Behind by Zozo. This work transports the viewer and listener sound on to an era when traveling by air was not unpleasant, even enjoyable. I'm definitely going to have to view this the next time during my next trip to relieve my travel stress. So I thought that was funny. And you know what? As far as like art reviews where you're trying to figure out what's going on from a narrative perspective, we were discussing this with Bruegel in the New York Times, and that person being like, maybe the ice is going to break, but maybe the person is... this is about all you need. About one line, 2 sentences, and that's usually enough for me, and this was actually quite beautiful. It's almost a format. I dare say this is enough as far as like speculating on what might happen or the nature of the narrative, but I'm overgeneralizing. So interesting. So I'm bringing back August Ground. We are bringing back August Ground for a space. It might be the last space that's weekly until September. Roon Toon seems cool with that. And I just think it's time to kind of almost reboot the show. Just take a break, have my Wednesday afternoons back as it is here. And there are a lot of spaces right now. And so it'll also give me the opportunity to collect all the spaces and put them online, put them on Spotify. So yeah, there is going to be an exception, which is I'm putting out an object gallery, which should be pretty soon. I need to talk to the artist, a little top secret project there. So I'll probably do a space for that, but maybe that'll be more like once every 4 to 6 weeks, that sort of thing. So anyways, come join us. Kind of I don't want to say a last hurrah, but maybe before taking a break here, maybe for the summer. Maybe we'll come back in September, and we'll always be around as far as the gallery spaces, and we'll still do spaces. Okay, so let's look at the comments. There are actually quite a few. Thank you again for the huge response there last episode. Let's see. Kelly Burns. Great show, Adrian. Congrats on 400. Been lagging behind here, but loving it all. And thanks for the BTC, the Bitcoin tutorial. You're welcome. It sounds like that was understandable. And we even got some comments on that. Maybe I'll bring that up next episode. Kyle Flemmer. Welcome to the cutting edge. Congrats on 400 episodes, Adrian. That's quite a milestone. Thank you. And indeed, it feels that way, doesn't it? Now, Misty told me their name. I'm not sure. Maybe it says here. I want to say Mustard. This is absolutely fascinating. Every time I watch your videos, I leave inspired without fail. Absolute butterflies in the stomach. I need to start making my own tools as soon as possible. I've always believed in the future of art would rely more on the story and person behind the work than the art itself, which is why I use long-form content to give my audience a deeper understanding of me as a person. But you're slowly changing my mind. There's so much innovation in art and so much room to evolve. Indeed. In a sense, when you think about poetry, as a medium, what it became, and free verse and everything, it became an incredibly dense, efficient unit where the content and the form are ultimately mirrored to a certain degree. And I would argue, it's put it this way, as a collector or as someone, when you're curating or when you're just consuming art, there is a persuasion that happens when your form reflects your content. Daggy D was mentioning this actually in another, very nicely, in another comment. But you're slowly changing my mind. There's so much innovation in art and so much room to evolve. Change is inevitable. But I wonder, there it is, mustard. But I wonder if pushing my art too far might distance me from the audiences I originally built. By the way, my name's Musty. Say Musty. Sorry about that. Mustard, not Misty. But that's okay. It's a common mistake. Indeed, it's always tricky. I think it was the ancient Egyptians never had vowels. And we're actually going to see, wait till you see the story we have on that. So all to say, I wouldn't worry too much about this, at least on the blockchain. And you know what? If you are worried about the consistency, and there is something to be said for it, of course, in terms of credibility, so to speak, if you're jumping from this to that, it's like, what is this person doing? This person doesn't seem to know what they're doing, is the assumption. So to your point. But another thing you can do is you can always go to another blockchain. Like if you're putting works on Ethereum in the past, or if you have, maybe you go over to Object or Tezos, and then you make a different kind of series. Or if you're on Tezos, maybe you do something on Ethereum. The fees are very, very low right now. Right? And then you put out your series on Ethereum, and then you just see if there's any kind of interest, or you put it on Base or whatever your case is, Bitcoin. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would just be strategic in how you approach it, is sort of my view. Sorry I comment so passionately. Well, no need to apologize. It's a byproduct of watching such amazing content. Your object advice was great. Well, I'm really glad to hear, and thank you again, Musty, for the comment. 91 Dems, also known as 91 Woods, excellent episode. I've been increasingly appreciating more and more your X segment, so where we talk about just commentary. Your curation on tweets is becoming very relevant to make sense of the ecosystem to me. Thank you. Yeah, and again, it's almost like it is not comprehensive. Just kind of putting my hand out in the waterfall and seeing what comes across my feed. I don't get the Zora thing either. Or maybe I suspect I do, and it's nothing new, meme coin launcher, nothing else. It does seem like they're still trying to force this meme thing onto the art, and then they put a bunch of different words on it to try and still do the same thing. To your point, it does sure seem that way. I don't know to what end. I mean, it's like put it this way. I mean, there was this vision that came out, let's call it last August, that with the meme coin thing, all of a sudden JPEGs or art, digital art, could be memes. And this whole idea that, artwork could all of a sudden be traded like memes and everything. Because arguably an artwork could be considered a meme, right? But if it hasn't worked yet, I just feel like if there was like a market for that, and if it was going to catch on, it would have done it already. So I don't know why they keep trying to, throw something at the wall and make it stick. Maybe one day they do, but I just feel like it would have happened already. To your point. Funny thing is that they seem to be getting late to the party after the Libra scandal, so that Argentinian coin, and the very sad episode of one guy taking his own life. I start to notice more and more how people are fed up with the extractive meme coin narrative. And it is quite extractive, and there's all these, crypto influencer scammers that can't wait to fleece their followers. I mean, It's pretty, to your point, Dems, or Bulls, it's pretty, it's pretty rank. Hopefully we can make a turn back to going back to invest in what matters. And as you mentioned, the things that we already know work. I'm not sure, like, put it this way, I think you need a new culture. Like, I actually think the people that are involved, not all of them, I'd like to stick around, but I kind of think you need, as a whole, I think the culture kind of needs to get, like, where it's, it kind of needs to die. And it's like, I don't want it to be where JP Morgan then comes along and then decides, oh, you know what, DeFi is actually a great idea. And you know what, you can just use the blockchain and use our banking. I could see that happening, though. I could really see that happening after, because the problem is let's say you say, okay, now we're all going to decide, the same people, the same culture is going to decide, no, actually, we're for functionality. Who's to say that, you put out some DeFi protocol and then that's the greatest thing, that it's really just the meme coin culture, again, which is just people trying to fleece people and this whole thing. So it's kind of interesting. Crypto at a crossroads is kind of how I see it. I really see this is interesting too. I really see a huge void regarding tokenized art in the Ethereum ecosystem. Yeah, like Foundation basically abdicated to do rodeo, and so, yeah, I mean, there's Manifold, which is, I think, where Waffles posted those works we started last show with. But yeah, I mean, it's back down to Manifold, as far as I understand, as far as layer ones. Maybe that's for the best. Take care, Poco, and congrats on 400. Thank you, Bulls. Awesome to hear from you, and big shout out to Buenos Aires. Alex May Arts, congrats on 400. This was a great comment here. Enjoying the ride. Regarding artists making their own tools, something I've quite some practical experience with, I don't disagree with your assertion that making art tools can take you to the bleeding edge. But it's fascinating to me that the techniques you mentioned are grounded in features innovated by old software, of which I was a user, of the first time around. Rather than being cutting edge per se, is this a, very welcome reaction to the hegemony of behemoth creative software packages that have ruled the roost for decades and limited creativity invisibly by dictating a certain workflow? I think it's a fair point. The irony is not lost on you, Alex. And, as you pointed out to me in this comment, it's not lost on me either, that here we are at the bleeding edge and what we're going to use. This bleeding edge is now using all these retro tools from literally the late 80s, right? So point taken. Now, in defense, I would say, of that is there's a weird trend, I would argue, that has been gaining steam, which is this kind of return of pixel art. And we're going to see it with Weiwei again here in a second. And as that kind of trend happens, it's natural, I would argue, to go back to these kind of low-resolution softwares that kind of naturally create pixel art. So, and we've seen that even in just artworks made, with KidPix or Fantavision or whatever, where it's not even, so artists have already been going back. It's kind of seen a little bit as a glitch technique in the sense of taking old softwares and kind of reusing them in new ways, right? So that's how I'd kind of, so to speak, defend it from not being necessarily purely about them being old. I would say, well, these were already being adopted, and so they were kind of becoming a thing, and they're kind of, it's, what the equivalent is. Musically, it's like going to, people are still using the 909 and the TR-808 drum machine, Roland drum machine. They're still using their analog synths, right? It's kind of like that. It's almost a perfect analogy, I think, right? So it's kind of like that. So it's sort of like, oh, well, now they have the 909s that are mixing together with the 808s and you're creating new bass drums. There's an idea. Is this new? And in a sense, you could say it is, because we love those 909 bass drums so much, right? Or hi-hats, or you pick your, instrument. Thank you for the very thoughtful comment here, and is this just a reaction to the hegemony of behemoth grid? I don't see it actually as just a reaction either to. I think that's an accidental product. Is that it's accidentally it's a reaction to the corporate thing, but really what it is artists hunting for new ways of getting new results. And what happens if we mingle, to use almost a magical word, if we mix together this software with this software, and all of a sudden are we going to get video chunks that use Fantavision's thing, and are we going to get novel tools? So I think that's the spirit. And in this kind of digital pixel art, semi-retro kind of vibe that we all love right now, right? So all to say, can't wait to see what Waffles does on Bitcoin. I think that's right around the corner. Okay, thank you, Alex. Awesome comment. Congrats on 400. Thank you, user TK1. Milana, love your episode. Thank you. Thank you for the comment. Heidi Thing, you're a hero. Huge thanks. You're welcome. 400. Gogolitis with a big comment here. Actually, Gogolitis put 2 comments, and then YouTube magically made it disappear. So if that ever, if you have a big comment to write, by all means, put it, maybe write it on a text file so you don't lose it, and then if it disappears, you can always post it on X too. I think Gogo did that with the second comment. Anyways, here's Gogolitis. Maybe I don't fully understand what's happening on Zora either, but when I first saw it, my reaction was WTF. I took some time to think it over. I still don't get it. Here's a person that even uses like burn mechanics and actually adopts certain kind of crypto ways of selling art. Gogolitis doesn't get it either. So again, we're going to go to the person on the street that doesn't even really understand how NFTs work, or digital art works, or crypto. And then we're going to convince them of actually this should be 1 billion coins is actually. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I don't think anything's going to happen. I think it's going to be dead on arrival is my prediction on it. You know me well enough to know I love technology and innovation, but in this case, I can't shake the feeling that Zora is more focused on making money than on true innovation. It seems like their goal is to position themselves at the top of the pyramid, maximizing their gains from everyone else, all while disguising it as innovation. And this is the sad thing. Like last August, or it was like late July, early August, Zora was like becoming a countercultural thing. You had Machine putting her work there, making a fortune. I was seeing Zora. It was becoming mainstream, I would argue. And then they rug pulled, basically, the artists and said, actually, we're going to kill that platform and we're going to do the 17-cent thing. Chasing after rodeo. And so it's like a epic shooting of yourself in the foot. And now, speaking metaphorically here, it's incredible. They had, brought over all the poets from Tezos, all those visual poets from Tezos, an incredible feat. How do you, you can't convince, you have to persuade people. You have to create a marketplace that's good enough where they're making money. They had accomplished all the hard stuff. All they had to do, in a sense, was do nothing. And so, yeah, I mean, what a development there. This is just my initial reaction, so take it with a grain of salt, and maybe I'm completely, and I say this too, but I don't think you're wrong, Gogo. Again, if you don't understand it, I don't understand it, and we're kind of neck deep in this, how on earth is this going to work for anything or anyone? Let's see. Also on X, Kels. Adrian, so good, and again, thanks for the guide to inscribing on BTC. You are welcome. Probably not the most fun, and definitely not an easy video to make. You know what's kind of funny about that? I'd been putting it off for weeks, but it took about 10 minutes of prep, and you just put the tabs in front of you, and you just walk through. I think I could have done that video slightly better, but it's kind of good enough, right? So you're welcome. Much appreciated. Also onboarding a work friend to Tezos, sent him your how-to Tezos video. So thank you. This is awesome. Thanks for the kind words, Kills. Trippy Collector, 20 more episodes until the big one. That was hilarious. Shout out to Trippy Collector. We'll wait for a 420 episode. We'll see what we start with. Fake smile. out of, I believe, Buenos Aires. I think. Actually moved to Berlin, I think. I hope let's see, I hope in, say, 30 years from now, art students discover your videos and view them in a way people nowadays might view vintage rips of John Berger's Ways of Seeing. I don't know if I've ever seen this, but thank you. Yeah, I do hope. I mean, I wouldn't put all this effort into it. And I think I do hope that they survive the test of time. I really hope so, and I hope they inform people as to what happened here. And I really hope that happens. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you for the very kind words, and I hope you're right. Mikkel Nolson, amazing. I remember, Mikkel Nolson, one of the two people as to why I'm probably talking to you right now. I remember frantically searching for anything interesting to listen to while riding. I had exhausted a few art podcasts and blockchain shows. When I stumbled upon your podcast episodes, I wondered why you had stopped. So glad to see you find the audience you deserved. So I think referring to the Spotify, those early interviews is, because when no one's listening, and you feel like no one's listening, and you feel like it's, maybe this is amateur hour, and you're, putting yourself out there and you're not sure what there's no shortcuts to broadcasting. So thank you, Mikkel, for the support, and also responded. I was just doing what you do so well every week, trying to shine a light and encourage things and people to do interesting things. I really enjoy your show and still tune in all the time. Awesome. Amazing. From before the beginning of the videos. Mikkel Nolson. Big shout out. Out of Berlin, actually. Peter the Roman. Happy 400th. I agree about Zora. I've been here since 21, and I don't get it either. Feels like they're scrambling for something new and getting caught up in crypto gymnastics. Like, again, another astute observation here. Forgetting the artisan spirit that made Zora a destination once upon a time. Just imagine where Zora would be if they just didn't touch anything, last August. I mean, just imagine where they would be. It's scary to think. His Dribble Waffle. Thank you, Poco. Congrats on episode 400. Here's to 400 more. I will leave a comment I'll leave a longer comment on YouTube. Maybe write it in Word and then paste it in case you lose it. Sometimes they disappear. So thank you. Looking forward to that. If I see it, I will definitely bring it up. Awesome to hear from the artist here of this wonderful work. Let's continue. Salawaki, happy 400th. Thank you so much for giving this artist journal. You are a treasure. Thank you, Salawaki. Marco, thanks for the shout out. Just to clarify on my tweet, it was about first things first. Can't sell mainstream appliances if the indie chat about appliances is actually about banks all the time. There's good art here, so let's talk about it more. Art journalism, art critics, or whatever would help a lot. Keep the focus on the product. Foster a genuine passion in the audience. Relegate anything else behind the scenes. Mainstream doesn't take us seriously because we still talk about this or that blockchain. Interesting. Yeah, I don't understand. And I'm glad you brought this up, and I brought it up last episode. I don't understand why I've put out 400 episodes, so I think it's on the radar of the, top ETH influencers. One time or another, I'm sure they've seen it, right? We've been doing it for 2.5 years here. It's gotten quite a few retweets along the way. I think it's in the millions as far as views on Twitter. So that's been seen, the show, if you add them all together. So the fact that it's not really being supported, which I'm fine with, by the way. Maybe it's a good thing in the end. But I think it's interesting. The fact that it's not being supported, and maybe this isn't your point again, to me is remarkable. Because you'd think someone talking about the art on the blockchain would be like, this is what we need from a cultural perspective. No, we're going to complain about the culture and say meme coins are terrible, or just say nothing. And let's not let this guy get in our space because he has a different view on what's going on with the digital art. That is basically what seems to be happening. Anyways, I'm probably misreading your tweet again, Marco, but I appreciate the support and really appreciate it. And it's awesome to hear from you. Chrome Void, congrats and thank you everything for you do. Truly amazing and incredibly important work you're doing. Well, thank you, Chrome. I really appreciate that. Human Boy, congrats on 400. It's been a pleasure to watch over the years. A wonderful way to stay focused on the art. Thanks for what you do. Thank you. And Wasteman Goldminovich, thank you for sharing. Always an honor. Yes, we had a beautiful then McNuggets from Wasteman Goldminovich. Hello Machine. An amazing number for a stunning journey for what you're doing in this space and community. So again, thank you everybody for the huge response here. Sui Soichi, Thank you for the comment. Neon Monk, congrats to 400 amazing and inspiring episodes. Keep compounding. Indeed. Robert Flood, fascinating and very exciting examinations here on 400. Congrats. Thank you, Robert Flood. Mobo Tato. I could listen to these all day. Love hearing your insights and getting a taste of what's going on any given chain. Keep up the amazing work. So thank you, everybody. Lena Eckhart, thank you. Thank you for watching and supporting this, Lena, and commenting. Gabby Walter, thank you. Uyo, thank you. Stolka, awesome. I want to see more work by Stolka. Great artist. Stand Control, thank you. Najma, thank you. August Ground, who will be on this week's space, the last kind of weekly space for a while. Walk, awesome to hear from you. No Hygiene. Okay, Jan Lucas Migon, Wojak, awesome. We have a work by Wojak. Nicholas Dietrich, my mind is blown by Hasdrubal Waffles custom tools. Indeed. Glad to hear that. Descartes, thank you. Mirakit, thank you. And Renato, thank you. And Tornado Rodriguez and DJ Kiro. And there is Gogolitis. We'll read Gogolitis' comments, then we almost have to run here. Thank you, everybody. Jada, Rosetio, Little Cakes. It's like one big happy family here. Ed Woods. Here we go, finally. Regarding the creation of physical art. So Gogolitis is making physical art. Let me explain how it all started. It began with small scratch-off sheets that my wife bought for our daughter. They were 10-centimeter black squares that revealed a holographic layer when scratched. I found them fascinating and spent hours experimenting with them. That was a few months ago. Eventually, I wanted to find larger sheets of the material. That's when I discovered that a laser engraver could be used to scratch away the surface with precision, and at that moment, everything clicked. It opened up an entirely new world of possibilities for me. This is still a tool I need to use. They have them at the big art stores here in Berlin. It looks really good for cutting out the pixels, getting that sharp square. So to answer the question, how do you justify making this work physical? I'd argue that is the main question. When you're a digital artist making a physical work, how do you justify this? Is this, why should this exist? I don't have the machine yet, but at this stage, I'm driven by several things. Enjoyment, curiosity, challenge, the medium itself. This approach feels traditional. It's simple. You can hang it on a wall without worrying about power outlets. That ties back to enjoyment because without electronics, production is easier and more affordable. This also means I can share my work more freely with close friends and family. It's true. You do get out of the bubble, so to speak. If electronics were involved, costs would be too high, and sharing my creations this way wouldn't be feasible. And there's also the desire to work with tangible materials. It might sound trivial, but after spending entire days with just a keyboard and mouse at my fingertips, there comes a point where I crave the sensation of physically engaging with something real. Yeah, and it's quite magical making physical artwork. I still have quite a few steps to go before I create what I envision, but that's precisely what makes the journey so exciting. And it can often inform your digital art practice, so I highly recommend it. In a sense, the works that I'm doing on Bitcoin now, the Nostalgia Studies series there, where I put like Ultima 4 or Load Runner, that whole process was developed physically. And then I arrive in the digital and go, well, how can I make that digital version of that? And now I'm like, I think I like this version better than the physicals from, 10 years ago. Isn't that interesting? So it never hurts to try different mediums and go physical, digital, go back and forth. You will become a better artist. I would argue. Robert Alice. So I think this is the author of the Taschen NFTs. Which Ordinal project shall we... Now, this is quite interesting. So they're going to do an updated edition of the Taschen book, and I've spoken much about the Taschen book, due Q2 2025. We have 2 project spaces available for Ordinals. One has been allotted to Rutherford Chang's sense. I guess this person passed away. So rest in peace, Rutherford Chang. And they're struggling to... This is what I wanted to highlight, though. They're struggling to find the second spot. And this is kind of my point. There are works on Bitcoin, but I'd argue from a poetic viewpoint, there are massive opportunities. It's kind of like an open green space. So if you're curious, feel free to watch the video if you're looking to do that. They can't find what, we're looking for poetry here. And I'm sure there's a ton. The artist chosen will receive a full-page spread, $200, or 3 books in lieu of their copyright. And most importantly, global distribution. And so, as I've said, I think this book is actually hurt the credibility of Taschen. just from my own perspective, like I completely disagree with the argument that's made, but I don't disagree with people putting out their views and saying this is what I think, because that's what I do here too. And for that, I believe Robert Alice is the author, and for that, we're all good, and I commend you. So looking for art projects, not PFP projects, and so they're going to put another one. This does not represent the digital art scene on the blockchain, though. I will say that. To add a little controversy to our morning coffee here, let's continue. Vito Schnabel. So I was just mentioning hilariously Julian Schnabel yesterday in passing. So Vito Schnabel, who is, I believe, the son of Julian Schnabel, I came across this on Instagram, which is Weiwei, a show in New York with Vito Schnabel Gallery, October 24th to February 22nd. It's still on if you're in New York. And look at this. So Ai Weiwei does this kind of Warhol with drips with Lego, toy bricks, mounted on aluminum, interestingly. But as you'll see here, you're going to see Ai Weiwei once again kind of working with the pixels. As you see here, taking a Van Gogh. And I'm not even, and it feels kind of random. Actually, like the choice of work. So this looks like, is this The Birds or Vertigo, right? This looks like a still from an Alfred Hitchcock story. Now we have the Vermeer, okay? But you see pixelation, right? Continuing, obsessed with the pixelation. Here's another one, U.S. Central Command. So maybe this is the idea, is to kind of take a wide variety, child's play. So again, thematically, it does make me wonder, but this is kind of interesting, taking a heat camera. And of course, then we have Nord Stream. This is probably my favorite, just from a kind of controversial image, and then not saying anything. It's kind of like Warhol doing the dollar sign. Is this a celebration of the dollar sign? Is this a criticism of the dollar sign? So I'd argue wonderfully ambiguous here, just highlighting as artists do and can, and just pointing. It's like, there's a famous line, I believe in ancient Greek, scholarship, for lack of better terms. I neither agree or disagree, but I point in the direction to, speak and paraphrase. I neither affirm nor deny, but point in the direction. And that, my friends, is kind of what I love. That is, that sounds like something like the Oracle at Delphi probably says, right? And that's kind of one of the functions, I'd argue, of artists. It's not to try and tell you what to think, being, didactic, as they would say. It's I neither affirm nor deny, but I point in the direction. And that's what I love about this shot here. Interesting, taking different mediums. Like that was photography. This is oil painting. Interesting color, kind of reducing the colors. Again, this is kind of screaming Bitcoin a little bit, isn't it? This one work here, interestingly, a little clothes hanger for pink clothes hanger, I guess. Here's the Hakusai. I feel like this show lacks focus. Since it's Ai Weiwei, I feel like we can, be a little bit more critical here. But maybe I don't understand. It looks like Monet's water lilies, and then kind of like this Warhol, almost like a pastiche of a pastiche, like almost like a pop art sort of, Mr. Brainwash doing a Warhol, but then Ai Weiwei style with the paint dripping. I'll give credit on this as well, and credit to Ai Weiwei for being hip to what's happening in pixel art and in my opinion, and being like, and getting it. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not an easy thing to get. It took me a long time. While I've been doing this show is when I started to appreciate it. He may have works from before then. But I'll tell you another thing I really like about this. It's traveling through the mediums. We're describing paint drips with what seem like Legos. And that is cool. That is very cool. Again, traveling through the mediums here. So Kachi Kazakina, the art detective, taking some pictures here also. This is, I think, huge piece here. So this looks pretty cool. And scale. Remember we saw it on the website just a minute ago. and you go, okay, all right, work here. You see how big it is, and you'd be like, wow, that's awesome. Like, scale matters is what I'm trying to say here. And look at this. We never saw this. This is Balthus. Controversial work, I think, at MoMA. So interesting combination of images. Cool show. God, what are we going to do today for time? Am I going to go over? I can't miss this, though. Archaeologists discover 3,500-year-old tomb of missing pharaoh in Egypt. So a gigantic story here. I didn't see this. I mean, with all the news narrative, how on earth uncovering rock-cut tomb of Thutmose II, hailed as the most significant discovery since Tutankhamun in 1922. So they think they found Thutmose II's tomb, and as far as I understand, like, Tutankhamun was not like a particularly big deal of a pharaoh. I think he died at like 19 or something. And those treasures are pretty astonishing. Thutmose II, as far as I remember, there's a few Thutmoses, but I think were military, like they were a much bigger deal. So here, now, so they found an empty tomb, and now the guy who found it thinks he knows where the real tomb is. Because they had to move it way back, like a few years after. It took months to clear flood debris from the descending corridor, and during this time, he took his team. So there were flood debris. So I almost want to set this for another episode, because we actually have two. I may come back to this next episode because we just don't have time. We're already 41 minutes in, and the clock is ticking. Verse. This is, to me, the most significant work of the 21st century. And big shout out. Thanks for the retweet, Verse, on last show, if I remember correctly. I believe it was you. So thank you for the support. Now, this is interesting. So this Botto work from 2019, I want to bring up, because I thought this was a great tweet. Kind of looks like a Zozo. I think Sabato mentioned that at some point. What I don't understand about Botto, and feel free to leave a comment, anybody who's watching. If, as far as I understand, it's a community a community-built artwork. As far as I understand it, I went to the website, one episode, we tried to figure it out. Seems like if you own the coins, it's like a DAO, then you can start to help make decisions. And the reason I don't understand it is because I think to myself, well, if you made a piece of music where it was like a community curation, I mean, would we think that that's somehow wonderful music? If you made a DJ set and it had like a community curation, I mean, would that work? So that's just my open question. I'm open, like, I may not understand. And I'm totally open to that. It looks like a pretty cool artwork, right? So it's kind of interesting. Maybe this is the first one. I don't know. And it's going for 700,000. So if someone can explain that to me, what makes it significant, I would appreciate it. Because again, I think of a musical version of community, would that impress you? Right? So that's kind of so interesting. Sanso, cycle feels like it's winding down, and I'm getting the feeling that there are many people that now feel that digital art and other cultural NFTs will have been ignored. This was always a possibility in my mind. Max Payne for those who thought they would get rich on NFTs this cycle. Did a lot of people, I guess there was some talk that, this cycle, there'd be the digital art thing. I mean, is it Max Payne? Like, in a sense, like, I just picked up one of one for $11. Not Max Payne over here. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Maybe it's never worth anything, but I mean, it's $11. I'll survive, right? And then I have this beautiful work in my little collection. So I guess if you're going from a speculative point of view, though, maybe there was. And again, art is not a very liquid investment. You're kind of better off, probably in meme coins, although I do not advocate that. Anyways, interesting comment. Gogolitis, I didn't know this was possible to do this. And look at this. So you can take in a file, drag it into the layers, these items, and there they are. So interesting. This is Asprite. And for those that are looking to do some pixel art, this is a popular software. Sabato, wishing you all a blessed week. So looking like the Cybertruck in Fantavision with a bit of a, animation here. I think just learning Fantavision with nice little texture in the background there. So hilarious from Sabato. So you're seeing Waffle's influence here. Rosetio, I kept hearing about kid pics in Pocobelli's video discussing Waffle's work, so I decided to try it out. I need to unlearn everything. It's crazy how this app works. You do start to see, like, oh, okay. You start to learn a little bit of Waffle's, what's going on in Waffle's artwork and everything. Interesting background there. Cool looking work, Rosetio. Very interesting. This is eBoy posted by Adobe. So Adobe just dropped the Photoshop mobile app for iPhone, and we're celebrating it. So they already had one, but I guess maybe sounds like they've done a big upgrade. Maybe you can actually just work on your work, so to speak, from your phone. I mean, that would be incredible. So here's the work by eBoy, which they're using on the Photoshop mobile art app. Very cool from eBoy. So as we continue here, so object.com, we are now a bubble inside another bubble, Digital Beans Streaming Pixels. I think we're going to have to go over an hour on this episode, unfortunately. Here is Ed Marola. And as you see here, Brazilian contemporary artist, pixel art creator. So nice right up here. And I've never seen this work before. Surfing 2025. Was that in the show? So there were a lot of works that came out here. Yeah, so that might actually be in the show. I guess there's an Object magazine. There is then there's more. So here, okay, so cool work. Almost looks like a miner. The paradox of the eternal return is solved by the hammer. So this is Ed Marola's Object 1 show. Love the frame, by the way. And kind of a fun work as we think of these archaeologists in ancient Egypt. Watch party number 2. So a lot of people are watching the screen, and you'll notice a lot of these look like they're 16 by 9. I don't know if that was a request put on Ed to make these 16 by 9 so that they fit a TV. Here, this is another cool work, kind of a, what is this called? Watch party number 5. So just a few here. We don't have time. There are quite a few works in this show. Great audio, by the way. This is a pretty fun work. The Dinner. Great title. I mean, pretty awesome. Kind of museum ready. Look at the spaghetti. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Let me hit pause here. So, again, looking like it's ready to be seen. Another just kind of cool looking work here from, kind of a figure monster guy down there. Some little eyes at the top there. Cool color scheme. This is like, so all sorts of interesting things going on here. And Ed's like, truly feels like an art show, doesn't it? Watch party number 1. And here we see a little bit more classic Ed Marola in the, but you see his improvised style here. Here's another one, Disintegrate and Realize. So again, and you see that kind of shifting surface and everything. So just very cool. Love the kind of almost predella there at the bottom. The Palace, one more. This almost looks like medieval, doesn't it? Looks like a Giotto or some sort of medieval painting. Welcome home, you never left and never will. More poetry. Love this skeleton. And again, I feel like I recognize these buildings. It looks like medieval perspective. Cool audio again. As we continue on, so Martin Bruce, Reflex 2, my God. Love that song, kind of rediscovered that song this year. Duran Duran. So we see the, remember the staple? Kind of like the microscopic scientific photo of the staple. It kind of looks like it's a similar or the same thing here. Interesting frame here and quite beautiful, striking work. Works on the reptilian level, I would argue. Right away, I was like, wow, how much is this? And Deggy D has a bid at 100 Tezos. Only a few hours left. 3 hours to go. Reflex also, so here's the first one, and I believe no bids on this yet. This is also 100 Tezos. And cool little brushwork here. And just more mystery and interesting framing device, that kind of TV snow and everything. Very cool work, both one of ones. Here's Skomra Desert Bicycle. So again, pretty rad looking AI textures here. So AI artwork, for those that are wondering. A very refined style here, stable diffusion and diffusers, textual inversion. Edition of 10, so taking a lot of technique and talent, frankly. And the color. Dan Control, everything okay. So we saw the chair earlier. Now it almost looks like the pigeon has been stretched out, or the pigeon colors have been stretched out underneath. You see the infinite variation of digital art is really what you're seeing here. And that's kind of what Dan is kind of, I would argue, is kind of like hacking away at here. The endless variation. Because this is just so true, what Dan Control is doing here. It's showing, oh, why not a purple background? Why not this? Why not that? And oh, they all seem to kind of work. Here we see the lighters, but done in this almost kind of wireframey type way. So again, white background, kind of, it's all interesting. It still looks like a cool composition. Nice little drop maybe today. So very cool. Now, we didn't see, so this is Sider's work. This is hilarious. The scale of this work. Maybe I can make this in an hour, this work. So anyways, awesome. So here are the tennis players we saw. Super hilarious format here. Really cool work by Sider. Let's see what it says. Stretch. 12 days of art collab collection with Rich Caldwell will be available for purchase on the 24th at 0.6 ETH reserve. 1.5 meter long physical included. But shipping is extra. So again, very cool. And that's the physical that you just saw there. Let's get Kurt Hustle Collective going. This is a gorgeous work. Kensaku. The music, again, is hilarious and awesome. It's almost like a Jean-Michel Jarre searching. It's beautiful. I mean, and even just the glitch coming in and out, stunningly gorgeous. Still available. 10 Tezos. They are trains leaving the station on that one though. Kennex Zapata. So more just cool collectors here and stunningly gorgeous textures. Amazing stable diffusion and Python. Again, here we go again. Just gorgeous outlines there. Here's another one. We don't have time to read all these. This is an edition of one, though. We do have time to check how much it went for. 36 Tezos? Oh, just an offer. Just an offer. Nuv 1914. Very experimental work here from Nuv 1914. Gorgeous. Super interesting. Always challenging. Never boring. When I saw this morning, I just thought, oh, thank you. Thank you, Nuv. Thank you for what you do. Super interesting. This looks like it may have been burned. Interestingly. I think there's a new version, though. I picked this one up. Moneda Canisto Frutas, one of one. This was 15 Tezos. So, again, for those that are patient, you can find great deals. Tezos is only like 70 cents right now. Recuerdo, another interesting abstract here. This is a one of one, still available for 15 Tezos. Here is Gaspard de la Guerre. Thank you for posting this in the community. Plains of Infinity. 3 hours left on Rodeos. So cool abstract here from Gaspard de la Guerre. Cool digital abstract. Here is Mumble Boy. Predatorial behavior in existing climate. So interesting, kind of more of a organic feel with the trees. So just another beautiful composition, really, from Mumble Boy. This is beautiful. Louis tweeting out that Daggy D picked this up. I wonder if Daggy D and myself have very similar tastes. Beautiful. Find Daggy D. Beautiful work, Louis. The veteran. Love it. Very nice. Very nice digital artwork. Here is Ilya Bliznet's Jam Work in Progress. So looking pretty cool here, too, from Ilya Bliznet's, kind of a person on a flying carpet almost. Here's Wojak, who, of course, I follow. W74.eth, Soul Searching in Tulip Field. So cool work from Wojak, cool abstract. Here is Milaya, The Feast is Over. Look at this, 412 likes. Milaya doing very well, and on only 5,000 followers. I mean, pretty kind of culty, kind of cult-like artwork. I mean, in the most kind of nicest way. Like, it's got this cult feel. Like, what is this? The Crown of Thorns, Ace. Some sort of chalice. So enigmatress. This almost looks like Alfred Hitchcock. So beautiful portraits here by Enigmatrix. Very cool. Gregorio Zanardi. How are we doing? Still have 5 minutes. My only friend, the Fox. Cool digital painting. This is unfinished work from 2023. Interesting. Edition of 1, going for 70 Tezos to Rob. Sur la plage abandonnée, our good friend L'Inquisiteur. So another beautiful painting here from our friend. Always a little bit of humor. And I believe out of France, but not sure on that. Capin, who of course I follow, Twin Peaks Day. And we saw a lot of cool artworks there. There is Kyle. Kyle, I can't remember his last name. Nice homage. Here's some works from Rodeo from Capin. So some new works here, playing again with the cowboy theme and the pixel art. And again, just kind of reusing elements, I think, to great effect. The nature of digital art, right? Which is something a lot of these artists, you see it with Dan Control, you see it with Capin exploring. It's natural to go in this direction because the medium wants you to go in this direction, to reuse layers, reuse elements, put a new color. It's a new work. It's so interesting. Element Lee, Cosmic Sparks. Cool, kind of space-looking work here from a really cool experimental artist. Pixel artist, Gogolitis and Uxine collaborating. Very cool collaboration here. As you see, Gogolitis in the screen here, and then Uxine with the figure of the person with the VR goggles kind of looking into space, a Space Odyssey. Always a little bit of humor there. V5MT, Digital Kiss. Interesting piece from V5MT. Cool GIF. Edition of 45 for 3 Tezos. Gogolitis picking one up. Here's Mika Oladev. Artifact number 109, I believe. And so cool. Continuing the series, edition of 1, picked up for 30 Tezos. We're going to make it, my friends. This is Quampa, Untitled Drawing MS Paint. So trying something a little different here. Almost kind of narrative or representational, figurative, I think is what you would say. Deep the Dream. Here's Boo Boy. I think this is on the front page of Object here. A very nice piece from Boo Boy. Beautiful illustration, edition of 20, and sold out, or is it, yes, sold out at 20 Tezos. Here's Louis Osborne, Body Shop, another popular illustrator, playing with almost a Lego theme here, and edition of 25 for 10 Tezos. Here's Seba Sestaro. I found a deep thought, does illustrations for the New York Times and other publications, kind of surreal illustrator, edition of 15, that's in Fake Whale. Here is Jake Studios and Emir Gork. Don't think, just draw. Love the message of this one. And there we see Jake on the left, Emir, I think, on the right. And here's Renki with a work, nice experimental artwork here. Animated abstract. Let's keep our, here is Ex Mortal. Let's try and keep the 1 hour limit here. Let's be disciplined. No hygiene. More rad AI artworks here. No hygiene again. No hygiene. See a GIF with an angel fly. This is 120 Tezos. So cool artwork there. Another work, angel plus pregnant person plus cat. Love it. A formula. This is Ochaya Shihoe. Beautiful illustration here. It looks like on the back of a shoebox or something. Here's Machine, twins. A little bit of humor there. Twin Towers. Machine, the imagination there is truly impressive. Walk, so original. Walk with a beautiful spray paint painting. And here, Bert and Ernie, so some textile works, gorgeous here from Kaleem Anjero. And here is Kayla Mattis. My government is killing me. So a meme here, and more textile work, incredible artists there, some of the most exciting artists in the contemporary art scene. Here is Bondozo Bandito, almost looks like a diskette. And here is Seendolf painting here. I believe this was posted in the community. Nice painting from Seendolf. And that, my friends, is your show. And we're even 20 seconds early. Thank you for joining me. Sorry to the artists for running through at the end, but it is important that we keep this hour limit. Till next time, take care.